Saints Happy Hour podcast featuring Dave Cariello, Andrew Juge, Ralph Malbrough, and when he decides to show up, Kevin Held. We are the perfect blend of Saints sincerity and stupidity.
How many RPMs would it take for the Julio copter to actually fly away, and how many fumbles would happen as a result?
Well, that's a trick question because you can only fumble once.
If you're not having fun when your team is 11-2 and win back-to-back division titles for the first time in 50 years, then you need to stop watching.
And now, here's your host, Ralph Malbrough.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Saints Happy Hour podcast. Where to begin on a night like tonight?
I'll tell you where to begin. I just have some guy on Twitter that's fighting with me saying that this was the worst. Let's see. Let me give you a direct quote here. This is, I'm not a Pollyanna. That's the first thing he said. I don't really understand what that means, but I'm sure it means something. And he said this was the worst game called by Sean Payton all season. If you ran the ball on Carolina's D, they would have been dead by the fourth quarter. Payton is obsessed with generating Brees 40 to 50 attempts every game. Like, when you say this is the worst game called by Payton all season, would you not have maybe picked like the 3 or 4 games where the Saints didn't score a touchdown instead of the 34 points they scored this week?
Maybe the Atlanta game 2 weeks ago was pretty fucking bad. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they threw 52 times, they ran 8 times, they scored 9 points. I don't know, maybe pick that one.
Breaking news, Saints just got called for hands to the face again.
Or we could start by talking about how you got roasted by the Vander Laan family.
Oh, yeah, this?
You guys want to go see a dead body?
Yeah, that, I mean, it was...
What about today? Is today the worst day of your life? Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Vander Laan family came at me, Dave. I don't know if you were aware of this. They came at me on Twitter and just burned everything to the ground.
I saw one girl who responded to you, but I didn't. Were there multiple people?
Well, multiple people just piled on after she came in savagely and stabbed me to death and then exited. They just
she wasn't really related to him, though, right?
I'm choosing to believe she was.
I mean, she had the last name Vander Laan. I didn't tag him. I didn't hashtag that at all. So she was clearly like vanity searching their name to find that because she found it like a day and a half later and then just came in and murdered me. I won't even pretend that like I got even with that. She just came in and was savage to me. And Andrew egged it on. Andrew, you said it was the greatest moment in the history of the show. You were totally delighted by this for like 2 days, were you not?
Yes, I was. It was fantastic. I mean, and so for those of you that missed it, basically Ralph tweeted that, you know, he tweeted one of his lame typical jokes, like when the Saints signed Jason Vander Laan, the tight end, and they signed him from the practice squad. Ralph joked on Twitter that it sounded like the villain in a country villain in Nashville, the show. And she replied, she like retweeted that with the comment, yeah, her name was Taylor Vander Laan. And she said, yeah, but imagine being named Ralph.
Sick burn, bro.
I mean, mic dropped.
She should have done that and had the gif of Obama doing the kiss and dropping the mic.
Look, I know that the Vander Laans like are listening to this podcast now, probably the whole family, and I'm never saying anything bad about that guy. Yeah. I care about my life. I care about my family. And, I mean, after savagery like that, I just can't expose myself to...
They're coming for me.
Yeah. I gotta barbecue your ass in molasses!
Yes. Dave, yesterday, I feel like, and I want to quote Skooks here directly. He said, it was just a matter of time before the rule we created because we got fucked us.
Yeah, I think it's fuckception. It's ref fuckception is what it is. It's totally ironic. To be honest with you, I thought it was going to happen sooner. I thought it was going to happen when we played the Rams in the Rams game again.
Oh, just wait.
Yeah.
The stakes will get higher as the season goes, Dave.
But I got to admit. Well, that was weird.
Yeah, sorry, I turned on myself. I'm sorry. I'm getting in the chat here.
Oh, okay. But I got to admit, I mean, that's not, we haven't really seen that this season at all. And I'm not talking about just the Saints. I'm talking about the league in general. It takes a lot to go from a no call to a call. And I certainly didn't think that the evidence was there to overturn it and to change that call, which blows my mind. And I mean, earlier in the game, didn't Payton challenge one earlier in the game and lost? Right? Is that correct?
He did. He burned both of his challenges. It seemed like in the first 5 minutes. I don't mean to go.
I remember being somewhat disappointed in Payton, thinking, I know that he's smart enough to know that he's not going to win this challenge. These things rarely, rarely ever get changed. And I'm disappointed again in the refs. And
well, here's the thing, Andrew, and the reason why I'm playing the X-Files music is the Saints have been penalized 86 times. Their opponents have been penalized 60 times. That's the biggest difference in the NFL.
You can turn the X-Files off. We get the picture.
So combine that with the Saints have had more road Thursday night games than any other team in the NFL since Payton was the coach. The NFL is trying to fuck over the Saints.
I just think like the rules change, like it doesn't really do anything for me because whatever the rules are, whether they're fair or unfair, it kind of doesn't matter because they're just going to angle it to screw the Saints. So whether you can challenge pass interference or not, whether you have a overtime rule where it's sudden death versus you can't win on a field goal on the opening drive, like whatever rule they change, it doesn't matter because in application, they'll just screw the Saints with whatever the new rule is.
That is true. I feel like
even if the rule was made because they felt bad for you.
That's right. They will use case in point. They will use it against you. And look, the Saints, they better win by more than 2 scores in these playoff games because if not, they will find a way. They will find a way to
fuck the Saints. The Saints,
Yep.
The Saints, wherever they play, they better be up 3 scores with 5 minutes left because they'll have if it's 2 scores, it's not enough because the other team will score and do an onside kick, and all the new onside kick rules that the NFL has to make it almost impossible to get onside kick, they'll just throw that shit out the window. There'll be dead bodies on the Saints special teams, and the other team will get the onside kick. So, Dave, people were panicking yesterday, and we played this.
I was not panicking. But I mean, you didn't ask for my initial thoughts on the game, but my initial thoughts on the game were, to be honest with you, I never had one doubt that the Saints were going to lose the game. I was more annoyed that they just could not put the Panthers away, that they kept going up by 2 scores and they kept letting the Panthers come back. And I was more annoyed because I know the Saints.
What are you eating, Dave?
I'm eating a Z bar, a kid's Cliff bar.
You're not
chocolate chip or brownie?
Neither. It's actually chocolate filled with peanut butter.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Get on my level, Jude. So I was more annoyed. I was more annoyed that it had to come down to a 2-minute Drew Brees drive into field goal territory and a Will Lutz kick. This game.
But were you shocked we won at the end? I mean,
no.
I thought for sure we were dead.
No, I was just, again, I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's because I've been doing this for so damn long and I've seen this movie so many times, but I I never thought they were going to lose the game, but I was just very annoyed
Ah.
that they really should have put this team away. They didn't put them away. They had multiple opportunities to do it, and if it was a stupid penalty by Cam Jordan or a bullshit call here or there, whatever. I mean, it really should have been. This game should have been 31 to.
Well, let me ask you.
17.
Dave,
let me
your
ask you guys
boyfriend just
something.
trucked 4 Rams. Just want to say.
God bless them. Are the Ravens winning?
Oh, yeah,
Are the Ravens winning? They're fucking housing the Rams in the most glorious way possible.
What's the score?
35-6.
Ravens,
Wow, are you serious?
Ravens scored on their first 4 drives in the first half.
So the Rams are basically
Touchdowns.
done.
They're cooked.
They're cooked.
Yeah.
And so Jared Goff is playing like shit, I take it.
Yeah, I mean the Rams are garbage. Their offense is garbage, but this is mostly about Baltimore being awesome. But anyway,
Yeah. They're kind of placing themselves as the Super Bowl favorite, huh?
yeah, I mean they're gonna get home field, but Ingram looks fantastic. Willie Snead had 15 rushes, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Willie Snead had a touchdown. It's just, ex-Saints sadness tonight, especially about Willie Snead. But
But I want to ask you guys something real quick. So the Saints are 9-2, right? And they got the division wrapped up, and I just feel like there's so much negativity on Saints Twitter.
I got this soundbite for you, Andrew.
Everybody be cool. You be cool.
But nobody's being cool. And I feel like a lot of Saints fans, and I go through this twice. I feel like the last 3 seasons that I have like that meltdown podcast where I'm like, why aren't you enjoying this? You guys know the refrain by now. But what I don't understand is, like, I'll take you back to 2009. You guys remember that dog shit game against the Redskins where the Saints played terrible for 3.7 quarters? And
it was longer than that, man. It was like
and the kicker misses the chip shot at the end. And remember, there was the unknown hootout and all that madness. And then and then they come back and they win in overtime. And we were amped. We were like, team of destiny. We were pumped. And and remember the Dolphins? They were down like 20-something to nothing. And they came back and they won that one. Like, what's the difference between that Redskins game and what happened against Carolina?
What's the difference between the Redskins game in 2017 and this?
Right, like that's the thing. Like, there's no discernible difference. Like the team is 9-2. They're in first place. Like the only thing you can say is that we're not like as much of a juggernaut offensively, and so I guess people just feel like. But I mean, does it really matter how you get to 9-2?
It does not. It does not. In fact, it doesn't matter at all.
Here's
the fact that 9-2 is what's important.
Here's the thing that I thought about today is last year on November 18th, the Saints played the Philadelphia Eagles and fucking housed them 48-7 in just the most brutal way possible. They're throwing bombs on 4th down to Kamara. They just destroyed them. And yesterday's November 24th, they beat Carolina 34-31. You know what both of those games are going to have to do with the playoffs? Not a fucking thing. Okay? The only and Andrew, you have convinced me of this. The only thing that matters for the Saints is to win and not have season-ending injuries. That's all that matters. Okay? Because the playoffs have the Saints can beat everybody in the NFC and they could lose to anybody in the NFC. So that's what matters. And I just think I don't understand the angst, man. The Saints are about to win their 3rd straight division title, and they're going to do it in the team we hate the most in their stadium on Thanksgiving night. They're probably going to house Atlanta, and it's going to be glorious, and people just aren't having fun. Like, you don't have to be miserable. You don't have to be Nick Saban and joyless about this Saints experience. Yeah, the playoffs is stress, and it's crazy, and it's scars, and it's horrible endings the last 2 years, but you can put that. You don't have to worry about that now. You can put it off. I don't know, man.
You know what? You guys.
People are saying they're critiquing the Saints, and just because they're winning, it doesn't mean like I can't be realistic. I'm looking to the future and how they match up in the playoffs.
Okay, wait. The two of you guys, the two Utes here, You guys both live on
Wait,
Twitter.
what is a Ute?
The two Utes.
My
You
cousin
guys both live on Twitter. Both of you. You're fucking on Twitter all the time. You know who's having fun and enjoying the season? All of us not on Twitter. You fucking idiots, okay? That's your fucking problem. You're in a fucking echo chamber. You're surrounded by people who just are on Twitter just to fucking bitch, and so all you're hearing is all the negative shit. Those of us that aren't on Twitter, we're going into work on Monday and we're talking about it and we're having a grand old time.
What about in the stadium, Dave? Because Ralph and I didn't go to this game. Like, did you feel like people were amped at the end, or were they more just like, how could they let it get this close?
It was. I thought the game was very tame. I thought the crowd was modest. Even myself, I will even admit it that I wasn't bringing my A game as a fan. But like even the field goal at the end, like,
Ooh, that thing was close
I
too,
sat
man.
there. It was close, and maybe that's why it wasn't as crazy as I thought it was going to be. But I mean, I have sat there and watched many game walk-off field goal wins by the Saints, and this one I thought the reaction was the most mild that I can remember. It wasn't, the one against Houston earlier in the season. I mean, everybody was freaking out.
Bedlam.
Yeah, and that was not. Bedlam is not the word that I would use to describe Sunday in the Dome at all. Even after the kick.
The thing is, the Houston one, it felt like a fucking miracle because it was one, the field goal was so long, and two, it took Brees conjuring up magic to get him in position to do it. So it's just a different feel. The one thing that I want to bring up, and I feel like I'm stealing all Skooks' material from Twitter, but he brought up a good point about Carolina. Like, they should be like our one of our hated rivals, and we play great games with them. We've had playoff games, and they have a fucking statue of Sam Mills in front of their stadium, which is weird, and we should hate them. But we don't like the rivalry of Carolina. It doesn't have nearly the anger and the vitriol of Atlanta, and I just feel like Saints fans kind of treat Carolina like we treat Jacksonville, and it's weird. Like it should mean more. Like if they'd have done that to Atlanta, we'd be laughing and it'd be fun. But Carolina, we don't have the same hatred towards them. And Andrew, I look at the history with Carolina, and we kind of should, but we just don't.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I mean, maybe you felt it a little bit that year that we swept them 3 times. I felt like there was excitement there with, maybe some of the sting is taken out with Cam Newton not being there, So I don't know, man.
Exactly what it is. He's why it's fun to root against the Panthers. It's not really fun to root against the Panthers. It's just fun to root against Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, yeah, I agree. But in our defense, Dave, we don't live in New Orleans, so I think we would be on Twitter less. The big thing for me is I need my Saints fix, and I can't get it. So I don't live in New Orleans, so Twitter is where I can find it.
Just have your uncle mail you VHS tapes of every game, and of like the post game, the local Cox Sports post game coverage was Victor Howell and Deuce McAllister and Scott Shanley. Have him tape that. Make sure he adjusts the tracking on the VCR, and then have him mail that to you, and just watch that.
Do VCRs even exist anymore?
I don't think so.
Like, could you even purchase one now?
You can. My father, they had an electrical strike at his place of business, and he got a bunch of reimbursements from the insurance company on stuff, and he had old VHS players in the box, and I sold a couple to a friend of mine that he sells VHS tapes. He sells old like 80s wrestling, Japanese wrestling, pornography, of course, and like old horror movies. There's like a whole community on the internet that they like to watch VHS stuff. It's weird, but it's
this guy that I work with is a huge Seinfeld fan, and he was very proud that over the course of it took him like 7 years, he would record via VHS every Seinfeld episode, and finally, after like 7 years, he got to a point where he found every Seinfeld episode at one point or another on live TV, and he recorded every single episode. And so he had like the full collection on VHS, and he was like super excited when he was younger. Like people would come over and he'd be like, "What episode do you want to watch? I have every single one." And then like 2 years after that, the DVD set came out where you could just
Or
buy it.
does he
for
hate?
all of them.
Is he bitter against streaming? He's like, streaming is too easy, man. I had to work my butt off to
Yeah,
get
well, I
every
think that's the
episode.
thing. It's like his life's work basically thrown out the window in one technological second.
So, Dave, we talked about this on the Victory Monday podcast that everybody should subscribe to. $7 a month, access to every podcast. And by the way, if you're a $10 person, you're going to have access to everything too. We got the player grades. We're going to have all the podcasts up for your holiday travels starting Tuesday, Wednesday. So do it. It's worth it. But, Dave, we were talking about, me and Andrew, about Ted Ginn. I was excited that he's back, and I know people are frustrated with him because he drops passes, but that's the real Ted Ginn, like the full Ted Ginn experience.
We got the full Ted Ginn experience Sunday, didn't we?
We
He
did.
didn't really get a touchdown. Did he get a touchdown?
No. But he
Wow.
had the nice catch on the long third down.
Fucking Ginn, man. Fucking Ginn. And let me tell you something. That pass by Drew Brees, that was a dime. That was a perfectly
Yes.
pass, and it was at least 40 yards in the air.
That seriously was the best deep ball he's thrown in like 5 years.
It was a great pass. Now, later that game, he threw one so short of Ginn, and I was like, oh my God, like I don't even know what to think about it. At this point, Drew
All right,
was-
play the X-Files music again.
No, I mean, I think
there
at
it
this
is.
point, Drew, he's just a regular quarterback. He's as far as he's just a regular quarterback who's great at making decisions.
I love the X-Files music. I can't help myself.
You guys are gonna this is
And obviously,
this is
we're not gonna hate on
this is
Drew
proving-
because who else would we want to be taking over on the field with a minute and 45 seconds left in the tie game?
This is going to prove Dave's point of how addicted I am to Twitter as I'm looking at this on our show. But you guys will enjoy this. Aaron Donald, $135 million, 0 sacks, 0 tackles. Jared Goff, $134 million, 0 TDs. Brandon Cooks, $80 million, 32 yards, 0 TDs. Todd Gurley, $57 million, 19 yards, 0 TDs.
The Rams are fucked, and their beautiful spaceship
even know
stadium
Gurley was
isn't
playing.
going to save them. I'm telling you, the Rams are.
I'm
fucked.
just really I might be enjoying the Rams falling apart more than I am the Falcons falling apart this year.
Wow, that's something. Thing is, the Falcons, I don't know, man. The Falcons falling apart is delightful.
All right, so if we beat the Falcons now does Quinn get fired?
No,
I
they
think
keep
so.
him till they made the decision. They're riding him out till the end of the year.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, well, unless
If they get housed at home by the Saints on Thanksgiving.
yeah, but it would have to be horrific. I'm talking like 42-3 horrific. Like it would have to be so bad that Chris Collinsworth would be like, "Well, Sean Payton needs to call off the dogs, Al. This is just mean." Like it has to be that kind of humiliation.
Subscribe.
And oh, by the way, thanks, Dave, for alerting me that Pardon My Take was second podcast in America to start discussing the important topic of Sean Payton's aggressive nipples.
Did you go and listen to it? Or
I
no?
did. Our jokes were better. I'm just gonna say
First of all, that was my content.
it
I
was.
texting
You could have had it all, but you had the death flu.
Well, the death flu was why I came up with that. I was like all on drugs. I was whacked out of my mind. I'm watching the game, and I'm like, Sean Payton's nipples are just out of control.
You guys better hope Taylor Vander Laan doesn't like his nipples.
Oh man, she's just gonna come at me. She's gonna just tweet the Simpsons gifs of the people with the torches. She's just gonna tweet it at me over and over again. By the way, people, tomorrow is the last day to RSVP and get your T-shirt for the December 14th live show at Tracey's. And oh, by the way, if you RSVP, you get to play in our live games if you're an audience member that we're gonna have. We're gonna have fun giveaways and all kinds of goofy shit that you would expect from a podcast of this quality. But you
Are we
can't.
doing that? Are we allowing audience interaction?
Yes, we are. They're supposed
You're
to.
opening Pandora's box.
Hell
We
no,
are.
hell no. Do not approach me. Do not talk to me. Do not look me in the eye.
You're opening Pandora's box with this one.
The Pandora's box. The second we agreed to do this, Dave, the Pandora's box was cracked wide open. So
Willie Snead another touchdown.
we're gonna have a live mic.
I know we're not doing the questions yet, but this is a good just topic. Daniel Double, I think I said that right. Hopefully, sorry, no disrespect if I messed that up, but Daniel Double asks if you were offered the second seed in the NFC right now, do you take it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yes, because the thing is, Green Bay losing last night, I know that they're not going to get the first seed. So I know even if it's San Francisco, I don't have to play in sub-zero weather in Green Bay, and that's enough to make me take.
Well, Seattle could still get the top seed.
Ooh, I didn't think of that. I'm still saying yes. I don't fear Seattle.
A buy is a buy. If you guaranteed a buy, you take it.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't in sub-zero temperatures.
Too bad Sean Payton was wearing shirts that accent his nipples didn't make the worst Sean Payton decision bracket. That's true. That's true, crowded animal. Sean Payton's nipples.
It would have if we had waited another year.
It would have, yeah. So
how does he combat that? Do you think if he goes like 3 shirts, if he goes 3 layers?
You gotta go, dude. His nipples are so aggressive. He's got to go pasty. That's the only way.
Just duct tape. Duct tape. I mean, you don't have to go to the store and buy anything fancy when a solution is right there in your home drawer.
I mean, the thing that would make it great though is on Thursday, like if the Saints are just housing Atlanta, if he does the water boy guy thing where he starts tweaking his own nipples as the Saints get into the 40s against Atlanta. Would they, Andrew? Do you think the NFL would suspend him? Like if the Saints dropped a 50 burger on Atlanta, and when Taysom Hill scored the touchdown to make it 56-10, Sean Payton started tweaking his own nipples. Would they suspend him?
I mean, I'm surprised Sean Payton hasn't been suspended for complaining about the refs. Like he made that comment about New York not having their best game. I'm surprised he hasn't been banned for the rest of the year.
That was so great.
For saying that.
Thank you, Sean. That I saw that comment and literally I saw it, and my column of 850 words in WWL, it just happened in like 35 minutes. When Sean
wrote itself.
It did, Dave. I was just like joke, done. So here's the thing, though. You know,
he's your muse.
he is, man. Like the destroying of the fire alarm last year was great. I just need Sean Payton to make the quote about Jacksonville not being able to score if they played 6 quarters. Like that's what I want. I need arrogant dick Sean Payton. That is my muse for my WWL columns. Andrew, the offensive line, they lost Pete. They lost Armstead to a high ankle sprain. Armstead's already out because they're playing a Thursday game. He couldn't recover. How concerned should we be that we don't have Pete to slide over to left tackle, and you're going to have a left side of Patrick Omameh and Nick Easton?
I mean, it's concerning to have that on the left side of the line. You know, I thought they played well for a half, you know, so that was encouraging overall. I mean, it was about as good as you could expect in the second half against Carolina, considering. Sean Payton's going to have to come up with a good game plan. I'm definitely concerned going up against Atlanta, especially considering how bad the Saints offensive line was. But, you know, consider Armstead had the flu, and this is when Andres Pete got injured. So Will Clapp was thrown in there. So the left side of the line was a very ill Armstead who didn't practice the Friday before, and Will Clapp at left guard. So I'm not sure Omameh and Easton in this game will be any worse than that, honestly.
They are getting dangerously close to playing my boy John LeGlue from Tulane, who's on the practice squad.
Oh yeah.
Who I would be so upset for the Saints and for my fandom, but I would be very happy for John if he got to go out there and play.
I mean, I didn't even know he existed until like the name came out of your mouth, Dave.
He's a good kid. He's a good kid. I've met him a couple of times. He's come in the store a few times.
So Andrew, they've absorbed all the offensive line injuries they can have before they're in a shitstorm, right? Like they can't lose one more guy.
I mean, yeah, you're looking at Ethan Greenridge playing, and if you're asking me who is that, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And Dave, the offensive line is bad, but more positives from the offense is the Ralph Malbrough fantasy stink is officially off Jared Cook. It took 3 months, but we got him IVs, we got him antibiotics. He's fully healed and cleaned of that stink, and he looks fantastic, and he's on pace to catch 45 balls.
I mean, the last 2-3 weeks now, he has put together some pretty impressive performances and building trust with Drew and, being reliable, not dropping balls, getting open. I have been very happy with him over the last few weeks. I like where this is heading. I hope this isn't an aberration. I hope that this just continues because I think he was a huge difference maker, obviously, in the Saints yesterday and their offense and being able to move the ball and having a guy like Cook. We already know that Payton loves Josh Hill, but having a guy like Cook too is, it really totally changes the offense.
That offensive pass interference call was total horseshit.
Yeah, he would have.
Sure.
Horseshit.
Jook says Jared Cook should be your Manscaped player of the game. You just created it. We're going to do a Manscaped player of the game every week now.
I'm mad that the Saints, that Sean Payton decided against using Malcolm Brown on offense.
That would have been delight. That
the secret weapon.
They need to save that. We need a fat guy touchdown. That's coming.
We really do.
They're going to break. I think they break that out against San Francisco. And they didn't flex San Francisco to 3:00 or 7:00. So I think I'm going to be attending that game. So,
nice.
Dave, the defense was a mixed bag of really good and really bad. What were your overall thoughts on the defense?
On the defense,
That good, huh?
I'll say this. It wasn't their best game, but
What about today? Is today the worst day of your life? Yeah.
But the one thing that stands out to me, being in the stands, is the Panthers had 1st and goal, and they stopped them 3 straight times. Then they had the bullshit penalty, and they stopped them 3 straight times again. I mean, they came up big when they needed to come up big. Again, it wasn't their best performance, but they did what they needed to do to win the game, and it's still. I don't know why, but I can never forget 2008, 2007. All those terrible years of defense, and just all those years, they've just made me so grateful, and I have made a vow in my life that I will never be ungrateful as long as we have a somewhat decent defense, and we have a better than decent defense. So,
there is a defense in China that is terrible. So you appreciate that defense and you eat it all off your plate.
That's right. There are starving defenses in India right now.
Man, the Rams are down 42-6 now. My God.
They're terrible.
Baltimore just had a turnover and did the whole Saints take picture.
Well, the good news is the Rams will have their next first-round pick in 2021, and they can hopefully draft some guys to help their team.
I don't know. They've given up 2. They don't have a first-round pick in 2021.
That is their next first round pick, isn't it?
No, they gave up the 2021.
Oh, is it 2022? Is the next 2022 is the next one?
Yeah.
Well, they'll fix the roster then. It'll be fine.
So the Rams
going just in an addendum, going back to my answer to your question about the defense. I will say this too, because now I'm remembering everything about the game. I will say this too. I'm torn because it's so frustrating to watch Christian McCaffrey just do whatever he's going to do, and he's going to get the ball, and like they still aren't stopping him. And I'm sitting there in my seat in the stands, and I'm like, okay, 22's out there. Just make sure you got 22 covered, and he still gets the ball. But at the same time, I also understand how fucking good Christian McCaffrey is and how difficult he is to stop. So
the only thing with Christian McCaffrey is I understand that he's difficult to stop. I understand that he's amazing. He's kind of like Michael Thomas in that way. But Andrew, could they have someone within 10 yards of him in key moments of the game? Is that too much to ask?
Ooh, that's a lot to ask.
I'm not a tape guy. I just there's no one within 20 yards of him. Like, what the fuck? Like, I understand he bounces off dudes or whatever. God, I had Carolina because they were a double-digit underdog. So.
How did my dad do against us, by the way?
I don't know. I need to check. I think he did pretty well because my picks were fucking atrocious mostly. Besides Carolina.
Well, it goes without saying that my picks were terrible.
Did LSU cover the spread?
They did not.
They did not.
Well,
Backdoor.
I can't believe y'all.
So listen,
I picked Arkansas, didn't I? I picked Arkansas.
Your dad picked LSU with the points. I couldn't believe.
Yes, he did.
If you want to gamble, you need to gamble like me at MyBookie because it's the premier place to bet on all your favorite pro and college football action every weekend. They always have the most up-to-date lines and the most prop bets of any sports book on the planet. So if you're going to bet this season, do the smart thing and bet with MyBookie. Tired of watching the games from the couch with nothing to gain? MyBookie wants to get your mind off everything else and back in the game. The best part is, if you join right now, MyBookie will double your first deposit. That's right. Put in $1,000, they give you $1,000. That's double your initial deposit when you use you can use on your favorite picks. Use the promo code CHAIR to activate the offer. That's right. Use promo code CHAIR to double your cash. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. Terms and conditions apply. Dave, that's why you need to do the ad. But I forgot to send you the new copy, so I had to do it. Mm-hmm. We got some interesting Saints Happy Hour questions. I asked people to do some Thanksgiving, so we got some ridiculous Thanksgiving ones coming up. But somebody asked a really good question. What player in the NFC do you fear the most, Andrew?
In the NFC?
In the NFC.
Do I have Marshawn Lattimore playing or not?
You do.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, I don't like the prospect of playing Julio Jones on Thursday. Now I don't know if Julio Jones is gonna play, but Julio Jones.
I was thinking he was asking for the playoffs though.
Okay. It's got to be Russell Wilson. It's got to be.
People ask me who I want the Saints to play in the playoffs. My answer is not fucking Russell Wilson. Not in the Dome, not in Seattle. I don't want to play Russell Wilson. Dave, who's the player that you fear the most?
I would say maybe Nick Bosa.
Ooh, interesting answer.
That's a good one. San Francisco's defensive line eviscerated the Packers last night. In a way,
I wish I hadn't watched that game last night because I'm nervous as fuck now. Because before that game, I was like, Niners, whatever. Like they haven't played anybody great. I'm sure they're come back down to earth. But then I watched the game last night. I was like, oh fuck, these guys are really fucking good.
They are, man. The thing is though with the 49ers, I feel like if the Saints could not turn the ball over and if they can shut down the San Francisco running game, I feel like they'll be okay. Whereas
the Saints are good, man. The Saints are fucking good.
Yeah.
Man, y'all need to fucking chill. Everyone needs to chill. You, be cool. The Saints are really freaking good. They have Kamara. They have Michael Thomas. They have Drew Brees. The offensive line, we'll get Andres Pete back. Hopefully he'll be okay. We're going to get Teron Armstead back. It's going to be fine. The Saints defense is really, really good. Lattimore is going to come back. It's going to be okay. They can beat the 49ers. They can beat the Ravens. They can beat any team in the league. That doesn't mean they're going to do it, but they can. They are capable. There is a chance we will win the Super Bowl this year. You should keep rooting for that.
I'll try. I've got I got the Saints on Thursday. I got the LSU's got to just disembowel A&M because I fucking hate them, and especially after last year's nonsense. But Dave,
I really hate that Drew Brees got injured in the Rams game, and that it unfolded the way it did, because I really feel like if we were playing the Rams like right now, we'd curb stomp them. I really believe that.
And
like the timing, and then just the injury, it all it just makes me sick.
Oh, Sean Payton would twist the knife, and then he'd twist his nipples. He'd crush the Rams so bad. But Dave, I totally forgot what I was gonna ask you.
Oh yeah, about the game on Thursday.
People were upset about Kamara walking off the field before they kicked the field goal. Like, he was walking towards the locker room, and people got mad at that. I was like, how is that any different from last year when he scored the touchdown and ran up the tunnel? Like, he knew Lutz was going to make it, and it wasn't like if Lutz had missed it, he was going to keep walking. He'd have just turned his ass around and played in overtime. Like, do you get the sense that Alvin Kamara hasn't gotten over Ingram leaving, much like you?
No, I think I'm taking it much harder than Alvin Kamara is. No, I don't get any sense of unhappiness from Kamara.
Andrew?
Yeah, I didn't even know about that, honestly, that he left. I hadn't heard that, so I didn't know. I mean, part of it with Kamara might just be that he's been a little banged up this year, but I don't know that I necessarily see as much joy and fun on his face. Now, part of it was there was always a microphone in front of Mark Ingram's face, and he was always like, come here, come over here. You know what I mean? Like, they were always kind of doing those things together. And so I don't know if it's that he's maybe just a little less visible, because without Ingram kind of bringing him out of his shell, he's just a little introverted, and he doesn't have anyone else that's encouraging him to talk, So I don't know if it's that, or
that's
maybe
a good point. That's
is...
a good point, because Kamara's he's a unique dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that again, it's just he's less visible, and part of it's just he hasn't like torn it up statistically, so he hasn't been getting the national spotlight as much because he just hasn't had a great year like he has the past couple. But I don't know, I'm seeing less of him. I'm seeing less joy on his face. I'm seeing him celebrate and get excited a little less. So I don't know that it's necessarily that he misses Ingram, but I just think maybe the combination of Ingram being gone and him statistically not doing as much, he's just not. I don't know. It's definitely got a little bit of a different vibe this year.
Yeah, I mean, and also too, Dave. I mean, technically he's not in a contract year, but he kind of is, because he's not going to want to play next year without an extension. So being banged up and not having a monster year is costing him money. So that could play into it as well, I think. But I do like the name that somebody on Twitter suggested we start calling Murray. We start calling him Ladavius, because he's your new boo. I like that.
We've been doing that for weeks, Ralph.
I
Where
know,
have you been?
but I need to start. I need to start doing it more.
Oh yes, you do.
So before we get to the pick on Thursday, and by the way, the Saints are a 6.5 point favorite for those interested. We got some Twitter questions. This is from Andrew. It's been a great season, but should we just resign ourselves to the Saints getting fucked consistently by the refs for the remainder of Roger Goodell's tenure?
Yes.
That was succinct. Dave, this is from Chris. Do recent road versus home performances make home field advantage less critical in the playoffs?
No, I don't think so. Especially for the Saints, I think home field advantage is very crucial for the Saints. We definitely want to be playing in the dome as much as possible for the playoffs.
Ooh, Andrew, this might be the question of the month. This is all from Chris. Would you trade Bill Belichick, Morstead, and a sixth to have Nick Underhill back covering the Saints?
Say this again. Who am I trading for Underhill?
You're trading Morstead and a 6th-round pick.
Just those two things for Underhill?
Yeah.
I mean, we were just talking about how we wouldn't trade a first for Morstead. So Morstead is sacred, man. And Morstead is off limits. Now Lutz for Underhill and a 6th.
I mean, they owe us Underhill. They gave him Newhouse, the tackle. Isn't that enough?
You can't get rid of Lutz. Do you remember what it was like?
Yeah,
when we had to kick field goals late in the game.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Don't even finish that sentence. I swear to God, if you take me back there. Nick Underhill. I mean, you can take this to the bank. This is my prediction right now, and you can bank on this one. Nick Underhill will be back covering the Saints next year.
Yeah, he
book it.
He's got his like semi-burner account where he just like tweets about this. It's just all Saints tweets, and he tweets like New Orleans thing. He was complaining about how Al Michaels pronounced New Orleans. Like he is a full New Orleans person. He was complaining about the airport. You know, he's a full he's a native New Orleanian now, much like you, Dave. Like you stay long enough, you just all the New Orleans quirks just get inside your body. And Nick's one of us now. He really is.
One of us. One of us. One of us.
What if Nick was one of us?
Ooh, this is a good question. This is a good question from Jacob. Did Brees arm truthers get any more material Sunday, or did the goat's blood infusions do the trick? It's kind of a mixed bag.
Oh yeah, I don't know who this question is to, but yeah, I touched on it earlier. He had some great throws. He had some not so great throws. So I mean, honestly, it all averages out. He's just a regular quarterback.
But at least we saw that he's capable of making a deep throw.
Yeah.
Like if he misses every single one, you know what I'm saying? Like at least all you got to do is show me once that you can make a deep throw, and we at least know it's possible.
Yeah, right. And the teams and teams see it on tape and they're like, oh, it's shit. And especially like in a game, like if they try to do that and they hit Ginn over the top, whether he drops it or whether they hit it, teams are like, god damn it, our plan to dare him to throw deep isn't going to work. This is an actual football question from Nick Landry, Andrew.
Get this shit out of here.
Should the Saints take a left tackle in the first round next year?
Next question. No, I'm just kidding. That's a great question. So you never want to draft for position. You don't want to draft for need. You always want to go get the best player available. But if you were to ask me, first of all, next year is going to be the first year that the Saints can really eject from the Teron Armstead contract. And, him getting injured, I will say, should come as no surprise because we've seen this happen. I mean, I love the guy, and I hope he stays on the Saints and continues to play football for a very long time. But, like Unger retiring this past offseason, which caught us by surprise, Armstead could go at any minute. And, at some point he gets sick of always getting hurt, right? And always being in rehab. And, if Brees calls it a day, let's say the Saints win the Super Bowl and Brees calls it a day, that might feel like perfect timing for Armstead to say, you know what, I'm going to hang it up too. So I'm not saying he's going to retire this offseason, but we've seen, kind of hit him. I mean, how much longer can he go, right? I guess that's the first question. And secondly, even if he sticks around, you kind of have to assume that best case scenario is you're getting a 12, 13 game season out of him. I mean, that's what the numbers, that's what history tells us. So yes, you have Ryan Ramczyk, but I think Andres Pete's probably going to walk. So if Ramczyk is your left tackle of the future, you absolutely need to get a young, good tackle in there. So we've talked about tight end. I still think tight end is a big need because Jared Cook is 32 years old. So I still think tight end and receiver are big needs, but I would say tackle is the next spot. And I would say depending on the player and what's available when you pick, I would potentially take a tackle. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the
And
thing is,
corner's the other one because, Eli Apple and Lattimore and PJ Williams, it's just like how much longer are they going to be able to pay and keep those guys?
yeah, I think PJ. We joked that he made a lot of money last week. He lost a lot of money this week. Like
Yes.
I think keeping PJ is not going to be that big an issue. Eli Apple is the one that could get dicey. Thanksgiving question, Dave. Stuffing or dressing?
Stuffing.
What's for Thanksgiving? Andrew, you can answer this first. What's the first thing you stuff in your face?
Wait, are you in agreement on this? It's dressing.
It's dress. It's dressing all the way.
Yeah. See, Dave, you act all New Orleans and you say he's one of us now, but if he's calling it stuffing, is he really New Orleans?
Well, no, he's it's. What do you is it? Do you? The question I guess was, do you prefer stuffing or dressing?
Isn't it the same thing?
No, the stuffing you put it in the turkey. The dressing you just do it on the side and cook it in the dish.
Oh, I thought it was just like a southern versus northern
no. Stuffing is like you actually like put the you stuff stuffing in the turkey, lemon and all that, onions
I
and all
gotcha.
that. But
yeah,
but like,
well, well, we never have put stuffing in the turkey, I guess. But
you get all up in there. You pretend like that turkey is Roger Goodell.
Yeah, my father-in-law, he usually fries a turkey and then he makes oyster dressing, which is just freaking out of this world.
Fried turkeys are so good.
Well, first of all, it's oyster dressing.
Oyster.
Yeah, good call.
But what's the first thing you stuff in your face Thanksgiving?
I love yams. If you give me a thick layer of marshmallows on top of yams, I mean, it just doesn't get any better for me.
My brother
makes the yams are already sweet. That's like putting sugar on your Lucky Charms. Like you're putting
Dave, you of all people complaining about sugar on top of sugar.
Yeah, this should be a red flag for you, buddy.
Wow.
It's like I don't know you anymore.
I know, but Dave, did you have some sort of come to Jesus moment when you got the death flu? Like, what is going on? I'm confused.
It's like, Dave, what are you eating? Oh, just Skittles and M&Ms mixed in my mouth together.
But don't
that's gross. Ugh, that would be gross.
That would be gross. Yeah.
So here's a good question. If Tua's on the board when the Saints draft, do you take him? That's from Jay.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
We're not even trading up. He just falls to us at 32.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing with Tua. Like, Tua, once he gets to like 16, all the teams at the bottom of the round, Saints, New England, Pittsburgh, they're all going to be in a bidding war to get up there to get Tua. Like,
he's not going to fall that far.
He's not falling past like 10 or 12 because the thing is, as long as he's
falling past 8. I mean that's like the lowest he could drop because of this injury.
Yeah, probably.
And he's probably going number 1 or 2. Let's be honest.
Joe Burrow's going number 1, baby. He's going to go to Cincinnati, and we're never going to hear from him again. So my favorite thing to eat will be, Jason says, will be a dub.
Oh, that's pretty good. I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah. So the Saints.
I'm just picturing Jameis Winston eating his fingers, his W fingers.
I asked on Twitter.
Jameis Winston ate a W against the Falcons.
I know. Jameis Winston. He's like third most passing yards in the league this year.
Yeah, and the most interceptions by like 10.
Yeah,
Jameis Winston is the greatest thing. You can start Jameis Winston as your fantasy quarterback and the defense he plays and come out ahead with both. It's great.
That's so true, man. That's genius.
Spoken from experience for a guy that had bid $182
Give
on.
me Jameis Winston and the team he's playing, please.
Yes, it's great. He'll throw 3 touchdowns, but he'll throw a pick 6. So, Saints are playing Atlanta on Thanksgiving. They're favored by 6.5, Dave. They are 1 win away from clinching their 3rd NFC South Division Championship in a row. Saying that out loud makes it even more insane, but it's true. Dave, who you got Thursday?
I know. Have the Saints ever clinched that early during the Sean
No,
Payton era?
it'll be the quickest the NFC South has ever been clinched.
Ever. The
What
entire
about last
division.
year? What about last year?
No, because
The Saints were like 10-1 at this point last year.
yeah, but
weren't they?
remember though, Carolina started out 6-2.
Mm.
So they didn't so even though Carolina crashed and burned, like they were still in the middle of they were just beginning their crashing and burning.
Gotcha.
Well, look, there's no way that the Saints are too good of a team to lose to a shitty team like the Falcons twice. They're in our division. Obviously, I'm not surprised that they beat us. They know all of our tendencies, all the little tips, tricks, and they're going to get up extra to play us. But there's just no way that Dan Quinn is a good enough coach to outcoach Payton twice in the same season, and they're not a good enough team to outplay us twice in the same season. I hate the short week. That's got me a little nervous, but and I hate that it's away. But at least it's in a dome. It'll be familiar. It's in a dome sponsored by the same motor vehicle company as our home field. So
There will be more Saints fans there, probably.
there will probably be more Saints fans there. So I'm
Take the garbage out front, son.
but it's
That's just for Atlanta.
was that soundbite from the time you farted on air that one time?
Yeah.
But anyway, but it is prime time. So Saints are going to win. I don't think it's going to be, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be as much of a blowout again because of the short week. I think that's really screwing us. But I think we're just obviously Atlanta's playing on a short week too. But I think we're just a little banged up. So I'm going to say Saints 27, Falcons 20.
Ooh,
and
close.
The player of the game is going to be, we haven't seen much from Kamara in a while. It's going to be Kamara.
Oh, that's an interesting choice. Andrew, who you got?
So I went on a long run picking against the Saints, and they won like 6 games in a row with me doing that. And then the Falcons broke that streak, and since then I've been picking the Saints to win. So I don't have to pick the Saints to lose to the Falcons. Thank God. I can just go with what I think is going to happen, and I think it's going to be. I think the Falcons, they kind of went on their last run. So they played a great game against the Saints. They played great against Carolina. They really went strong for 2 weeks, and I think they started to believe. Their fans started to believe, hey, maybe we don't make the playoffs, but at least we'll end on a high note and step up our level. And then boom, they play terrible at home against Tampa, and asking them to rebound from that shit show of a performance against the Bucs on 4 days' notice. And look, Julio Jones is banged up. We don't know if he's going to play. They're down to like their 4th running back.
Yeah, they're missing Hooper
Smith
too.
is out. Devontae Freeman's out. I forget who else was hurt in that game, and they're down to their 4th back. Austin Hooper, who played against the Saints, he's out. So he's been injured, and so they're just missing a lot of guys. They're very banged up. Their offensive line played absolutely awful against the Bucs, and so the Saints are banged up, but the Falcons really are too. Now you hope you get Lattimore back, especially if Julio plays. And Omame and Easton is a concern, but I really think, look, the Saints defensive line, they got to step up. They played an absolutely miserable game against a mediocre offensive line, and they need to take that. They need to come with a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove in this game. They need to respond because I know the Saints defensive line is good, and they should be able to manhandle Atlanta, and they should be able to sack Matt Ryan, and they should be able to take care of business. So I think the Saints are going to come in angry, wanting to basically lock up the division, play good football. And I do think they're playing with a little bit of house money here after escaping this Carolina game. And they really should have lost based on the way they handled that second half. And I think sometimes on a short week, when you're forced to play, you've got new life. They're going to come with a sense of purpose, focus, intensity. I think they go into Atlanta and they curb stomp them. I really do. They're still mad about the loss. So I'm going Saints 37, Falcons 13, blowout win. And I think your player of the game is Latavius Murray, who's going to run for 130 yards.
I'm not going to give a long, complicated breakdown. I'm just going to say this.
You guys want to go see a dead body?
Because it's going to be Atlanta, and it's going to be Thursday night. Saints 45, Atlanta 7. Dan Quinn's getting fired. How about that? That's my prediction. So,
It's just
guys,
so beautiful.
I want to remind you, if you weren't paying attention before, tomorrow's the last day to RSVP for the live show at Tracey's December 14th. You RSVP.
How many people do we have?
We have 103 people so far.
Okay.
And if you RSVP, you get a T-shirt from. But you also become eligible to do stupid, silly trivia at the live mic where we're going to hand out prizes, and you're only eligible if you're on the RSVP list. We have some spectacular prizes that me and Andrew came up with that you are going to want. And if you don't RSVP, you're going to be like, God damn it, I could have won that. I'm telling you, RSVP, do it by tomorrow.
So you heard that here, folks. Just remember, I had nothing to do with this. When you get your stupid prize, just remember that Dave had nothing to do with it.
Well, actually, Dave, you can in the meeting afterwards because we have to decide certain parameters for the prize. Me and Andrew just decided what it will be. You can actually, or Andrew, should we tell the people what it's going to be, or should it be a surprise?
Yeah, Crowded Animal, no, Ralph will not be giving away his cat, unfortunately.
No, he will not. The cat is staying in Pearland. So.
Wow.
So anyway, that wraps it up. Look, everybody, have a happy, safe Thanksgiving wherever you're traveling to. Drive safe. Listen to the podcast. We have a bunch of free shows. If you're a patron, you have access to over 500 shows. Plus, we did an interview with Nick last week. That's amazing. Nick Underhill. That's amazing. You can listen to that. We have all kinds of stuff this week. We have game previews, Andrew's grades. Listen to them all on the journey wherever you're going. Be safe. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. So for Dave, for Andrew, for Kevin, who's MIA, until next week, the bar is closed.
We're 9-2. Enjoy it. Who dat?